All right, guys, Tom Davidson and Landon Hutchison back with Yard Work. We've got Christian Frias today, who's another one of our Rio guys where Landon played, and we had Coach on the other day. Christian's from Puerto Rico. And can you give us a rundown of kind of where you started baseball, maybe back home, and then how you got to Rio, and then where you're at now?
Absolutely. It's nice to be here with you guys. Thanks for having me. Like you well said, I grew up in Puerto Rico, playing baseball since I was 4 or 5 years old, and then you grow up playing the game, you fall in love with it, and then you start becoming a habit, and you start creating habits and loving the game. That you start creating dreams, and you want to play at the highest level possible. So that's just the mentality I had growing up. So my mind was to go and play in college, then hopefully get to play, get an opportunity to play professional baseball, and that's how I started playing. And the way I got to Rio, it was back in Puerto Rico. I had a friend that was a right-handed pitcher that I was at a different school, and then I played in the summertime with this guy in Puerto Rico, and said, "Hey, do you want to transfer to our school?" And he told me the name, Rio Grande. I looked it up. Within 3 days, everything was done. Like, cause Coach Morningside was pretty aggressive in the recruiting process, and then he was done. And then ended up going there. Had a great year as a team, and helped me a little bit to get a professional opportunity.
Nice. So when you were back home, can you tell us maybe a little bit of how baseball is when you're in your youth back in Puerto Rico growing up? And, is it a lifestyle? You guys are out playing all day, every day. Kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. It's definitely a lifestyle. It's not a lot of people over there don't have the luxury of playing like different sports.
Yeah.
Or like probably in the States, there's a lot of people that play like multiple sports. Like they'll play football in the fall, they'll play basketball in the winter, and then spring comes around, then you play your baseball season in the summer. But over there, year round, is pretty much baseball the whole time. And I was one of those fortunate guys that play baseball year round, and it helped me and it benefited me for becoming a good player.
So how was it different back home versus when you got to Rio? What's the biggest difference you noticed in whether it's baseball or facilities or what?
Biggest is a closer shot because, first of all, the weather. Being a guy from Puerto Rico, growing up in Puerto Rico, playing baseball in Puerto Rico, it's always hot. Probably the coldest it can get is probably in the high 50s, low 50s at times, but that's some parts of the island only. And definitely playing those early spring games in the high 20s, low 30s, it was a humbling experience for sure.
Not enough layers you can put on.
Yeah, not enough layers you can put on, but it made me grow in a hurry because it's definitely either you play through the cold and you learn how to handle it and learn how to work through it, or you're just not going to play, sit in the bench and be even colder.
Yeah. Facilities, what's the biggest difference you were able to see from a facility standpoint?
Facility standpoints, obviously in the States you got a little bit better facilities when it comes to having indoor cages, taking care of the facilities, the grounds, and there's not a lot of people in Puerto Rico that that can take care of the field. It's pretty much just people volunteering their time, volunteering their own money to really take care of the field sometimes. So it's really hard to maintain the fields. So that's a big difference on the fields.
Yeah, I think from the facility standpoint, probably dictated by, whether you're in the northern part of the country, it's, during the winter, you got to have somewhere to go and hit and throw and things like that. So I guess if you're back home and you're sitting at 60 to 90 degrees, 11, 12 months out of the year, there's probably not as big a need for something like that for sure.
Yeah. But another side, it does rain a lot. So you get a lot of canceled games or, games that get delayed a lot because of the rain. We don't have any tarps. on most of the fields. Some fields do. Professional leagues, they do, but not a lot of fields around, the cities that can tell, hey, we have a tarp. Let's tarp the field so we can continue to play this game tomorrow or play this game tomorrow that we have scheduled.
Free, do you think that I don't want to say the lack of facilities, because you guys have facilities, you don't have to have indoor facilities because you said the weather's, just unbelievable there, most of the time. Do you think that grit helped you to adapt very well to the Rio lifestyle, I guess, because it's not, all the best bells and whistles, but, you had to be a gritty player to play for Coach Warnemont. So do you think that helped you?
Yeah, absolutely. It helped me because takes a lot of humility just to be open-minded and know that you're going to go somewhere and not expect to be the best player or just get adapt. It's just, I never showed up anywhere thinking that I was the best player. It's always thought I had something to work for, and that made me better, made people around me better, I think. So yeah, growing up in those type of situations and probably not best facilities and just playing in different fields that may not have been the best fields, and definitely helped me to appreciate when you do have something that's very nice.
How did you find yourself in that position to maybe leave home and come here and start playing baseball?
Well,
Or what opened that door for you as far as, this is something that you would consider? For me, I mean, when I was playing and I was looking at colleges to play at, I was a homebody. I wanted to stay relatively close to home, maybe not close enough to where my parents could come see me every weekend, but, close enough to where I was comfortable maybe shooting back home for a little bit.
absolutely, yeah. For me, I was determined that I wanted to leave right out of high school. And I had it in my mind for a long time during my high school days, and it's something that I had in mind. I was pretty determined, like I said, and nothing was going to stop me from going somewhere in the States and trying to pursue that dream that we always do.
Free, I got a couple questions for you. One being, you coached me, you also coached with me, and then you've coached other places. Can you kind of take us through a little bit of your coaching journey and what took you to where you are right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Can't believe I coached you for a year. Getting old here. But yeah, like you said, like my journey of coaching, during my time that I was released by the Toronto Blue Jays, I had to call Coach Warnemont. During that time, I was in the process of, trying out for some teams and trying to get back in professional baseball as a player, and it didn't work out. So I remember like today, I called Coach Warnemont, and the doors are always open for you. He can come here anytime, and part of my contract was, I had to finish my degree. Blue Jays, even scholarship to finish my degree when they signed me. So I took advantage of that. I didn't want it to go to waste, and I did that. I started as a student assistant for my first 2 years, then became the paid assistant from the third year. And I always say you treat every job like it's $1 million job, whether you make 20,000 or you make 100,000. You treat every job like it's $1 million job because, you never know that person gave you an opportunity. That person gave you a chance to do something. So it takes a lot of humility, loyalty, and commitment. The minute you start getting hurt yourself, you're missing out on being a good part of something.
Was just the difference between the Rio and Wabash, and you were just getting into the transition.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So yeah, transition from coaching at a NAI school to a junior college. College is top of the line junior college, one of the elite JUCOs in the country. I was pretty happy with the experience that I had there. I was very, very excited when I got that job opportunity. The great Rob Fournier has been there for 24 years, and I remember me applying for the job. He called me, and we set up something real quick to meet. And after that, we bonded right away, I think. And then he gave me an opportunity, and that's when I started growing a lot. Just coming from Rio Grande to Wabash Valley, and he gave me a lot of freedom to coach, a lot of freedom to learn, and I started learning a lot from him and the rest of the coaching staff over there, and that's something I gotta appreciate and think about.
And then where are you at right now, Free? What is your job?
Now I'm a hitting coach in the minor leagues for the Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore Orioles gave me a chance again. Like I said, it takes a lot of commitment and loyalty to be somewhere. And I could have had a lot of different job opportunities while I was at Wabash Valley. And same like when I was at Rio. I didn't want to leave just to leave. I wanted to leave for an opportunity that I thought would be the best fit for me and my family. And Baltimore is just a good fit for me and my family right now. So it was still a tough decision, but at the end of the day, I thought it was a great opportunity for me to continue to grow, continue to learn, and obviously continue to be part of this game as a coach.
We've had a couple guys on that have gone from, player and then transition, from college player to maybe pro player and then into coaching, things like that. How did you kind of come across that as maybe your path and your desire to maybe go from player and then back to coach?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I was growing up, my parents on the baseball side, especially my dad, he always taught me to, to learn the game, to continue to learn the game, study the game, and then whenever you're done playing, you gotta, pass it on to somebody else and not hold it inside you because, you're not gonna. It's not gonna make you feel any better if you don't teach anything that you know to anybody. So that stuck with me, and then ever since I decided I'm gonna stop playing, not gonna pursue professional baseball anymore, I knew right away that I wanted to coach.
Awesome. So what are some drills that you think that people could do at home to help them out during this quarantine time? I know that a lot of them need some ideas as far as some, off a wall or anything, because a lot of people don't have, huge rooms or don't have all the facilities or don't have things like that they used to have. What are some little things that you would recommend for people to do during their downtime?
So what, infield drills right now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Infield drills. It all depends on what you got available. Some people have the luxury to have an indoor facility near their home that can still go. Some people have a big yard, but I would say something that can really, really help you, it could be a wall, just a wall. And if your mom and dad don't let you throw a baseball to a wall, just grab a tennis ball. Tennis ball will do it. Anything that is a moving object that you can track and no glove, put your glove on. This drill that a wall drill you can implement so many drills in a wall drill. You can short hops, you can drum balls, every type of hop you can imagine. It's a great drill to have, and if you have luxury to have a wall, you can just throw a ball to. It'd be real nice.
I mean, a lot of that right now is just working like hand-eye coordination, how
Right.
you're scooping the ball, things like that, maybe some footwork, things of that nature. And I think, yeah, right now you have to be really creative to get to a spot where you can keep working on your game. If you just shut down for the next, 30, 60 days and don't do anything, you're going to come back a little rusty for sure.
Absolutely, be back a little rusty. It all it takes is your brother, your sister, your girlfriend, your dad, your mom, just to flip you a couple balls. You can simulate, you just throw a cone down, throw some down, simulate a base, and work around the bag, double play pivots from shortstop, second base, whatever position you play, and just have fun with it and get creative, like you said. Anything that you do baseball related is gonna be better than not doing anything. So I believe that just working around the base, getting creative with the wall drill, have somebody flip your balls, turn double plays, work on your footwork on double play pivots. Get creative. And then if you don't have access to any of that, then I really believe in visualization. So you gotta visualize yourself playing defense, visualize yourself getting a rocket hit right at you, side to side, slow rollers, just visualizing you making and creating those plays that you've made in the past. And if you're not good at visualizing, just start remembering plays that you've done in the past that, how were you feeling that moment when you made that big play? How were you feeling that moment when you turned that big double play? Things like that will make you stay in touch with the game and feel like you're still playing.
Yeah, I know when I grew up, I didn't have access to those facilities. I really couldn't afford to go and get lessons and things like that. But we had a shed out back, and I used to always take bouncy balls,
Yep.
and you kind of throw those off the wall. And man, when they would bounce back, that first hop would just shoot right at you. And that's how, like, I used to play, basically catch with myself all the time with bouncy balls. It was amazing.
That's very good. I mean, I bet someone has a bouncy ball laying around the house somewhere.
Oh yeah.
You can get creative with that. It's nice.
What about on the hitting side? What would you kind of recommend for some of these guys to work on if you're unable to see live pitching, take BP, things like that? If you have access to a tee or a net or someone to do some soft toss, things like that, what would you, maybe advise them to focus on?
Yeah, hitting could be a little bit more challenging, but it doesn't have to be. Like I said, let's say the worst case scenario, you don't have access to like a net or a tee or a cage. Visualization again. I really believe in visualization. Even if you have access to a cage or a tee or net, you can still work on this. It's only going to help you. Just visualizing you getting a big hit, hitting a pitch that you normally you struggle with. Things like that. If you do have access to a cage, a tee, or a net, you can probably continue to do your own routines that you have, working off the tee, high tee, low tee, in, out, things like that you normally do. And then you have someone who can side toss you or front toss you, even better. But not everybody has that luxury right now.
Yeah, I think some people may forget that you don't have to do this with a baseball.
Yep.
I know when I was growing up, my favorite thing to do was, wiffle ball home run derby. It's just, getting wiffle balls. You can do the same action with the wiffle ball with soft toss and things like that as you can with taking live BP or do a baseball, things like that too.
Yeah, like you said, you got to get creative in this situation. There's something we did at Wabash Valley that I really like. It's called the 9 locations. It's a 9 zone of hitting. If you're right-handed hitter, like let's say the up and in corner is a 1, and then goes across the play a 1, 2, 3 all the way to 9, being like the low and away pitch. So it's a pretty good drill to get challenged a little bit. For example, like you have somebody call a number from 1 to 9, and then you put a swing on that pitch, and then you visualize yourself. Let's say you struggle with a low and away pitch, then it's a 9. Then you will take a lot of swings on that one specific location, and then just visualizing putting a good swing on that specific location, and as you go through all the locations, and you've taken a lot of swings if you do that, and then have someone challenging you, yelling out a number as they go through a delivery or something. It could get a little challenging, so you have to react to a number and a location when they say a number.
I like that one. Are there any, so for pitching side of things, we're big on flexibility and yoga drills and stuff like that. Do you think those things are just as important with hitters?
I believe so. There's a fit, and some people like him. Some people like him more than others. But whatever you need to do, whatever it helps you specifically, you gotta know your own body. If you know your own body, and it helps you, anything can help, other than just sitting on the couch right now. And Absolutely. If you feel yoga and stretching and still working on flexibility, all of that can help. Absolutely.
At the big league level with the Orioles, I know everybody was just kind of getting geared up in spring training. Can you kind of give us a rundown on maybe that training side of it, what some of these guys do to get ready even for spring training, let alone the regular season from a conditioning standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, those guys are pro athletes for a reason. They're very, very disciplined about their routines. They're very, very disciplined about their workout habits. When I say that, I mean in the weight room. When I say their routine, I mean in the cage. What time they eat breakfast. What time they go out for the cage work. They have a really good routine where it's a habit, and you don't have to force it to anybody. It's a part of your day. It's part of your routine. And those guys, like I said, they're pro athletes for a reason. They're good. They know what they're doing. They know what they're there for.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand the amount of time that pro athletes take. Let's say they have a 7 p.m. game. There's a lot of guys that wake up at 7 a.m. to just make sure they get some breakfast. They go through a certain routine, and they're at the park from 1 o'clock until whatever time they take BP until then, and they're always doing these drills. What do you think, or what are some day-to-day things that, like, when you were in pro ball that you had to do, or what was your routine going through, like, your hitting style or infield drills or whatever you had to do to get ready for the game?
So as a player,
Yep.
yeah. So, for example, like a spring training day will be getting to the field around 7:15. Um, Eat breakfast. Um, Make sure you look at the board. Let's say you have to work out, you have lift that day. You take care of that before 8:30, where sometimes you have early work, or you have to go out for a case for your hitting routines before you even go out for the stretch. So around 9:30, some teams do it differently. You got the team stretch, then you got agilities, you base run, then you play catch, you do to individual defense, some type of team defense project or exercise, and then you go into batting practice. So let's say you do have a game that day, you go back in after batting practice, you shower, take a quick shower, eat lunch, go back out 20, 25 minutes before the game start. You'll get stretched out again and get ready to play a game. So it's a long day, but when you love the game of baseball, it doesn't matter. You're there to play. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because there's a lot of guys even now that they can't even last a 2 hour game. They can't even get enough energy to do that, and you guys are out there 7, 8, 9 hours some days, just getting the game in, which is awesome.
Yep, absolutely.
So what's your thought on maybe where the state of baseball is right now with everything kind of being shut down? Do you guys have any thoughts on, how long will it take your guys to ramp back up? What's the process they're going to go through to get that done if we're able to start playing baseball again? What's kind of your thought from a coaching side on what these guys need to do and what kind of time they need before they're able to get back in game shape?
Yeah, I mean, I hope this thing gets solved pretty quick, and hopefully in the near future. But as a position player coach, I think it takes us a little easier. It'd be a little easier for us to get in playing shape than pitchers, especially with those pitchers that were almost getting to a point where they were getting conditioned to, especially the starters, to get 75, 90 pitch plus in the game. They were getting close to that, I think some of those guys were. So it'd be interesting to see when this does ends and they say we're going to play baseball again. I'm curious to know how long it's going to take. Maybe another spring training, 3 or 4 weeks, of spring training again. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen. But like I said, for position players, I think it's a little easier because we can just get in playing shape a little quicker, I think, because our arms don't have to like get conditioned like pitchers do.
Yeah.
All it takes is a few live ABs, and we'll be in a little bit better shape than pitchers.
Free, who was your sports idol growing up?
Sports idol, it was Robbie Alomar. Grew up watching him. He was my godfather, and then I loved watching play. And I wish I was a little older when he was playing. I was so young that, you know, some of the time that I watched him play, I was too young. And like I said, I wish I was like, at least in high school when he was still in his prime. But it was awesome watching him play.
Do you get to maybe look back at some of even like his highlight reels, things like that? Because I know, you know, he could play a little bit. I had the opportunity to watch him a lot.
Yeah. I do go back to watch his film a lot. Get on YouTube. It's awesome to watch him play with Omar Vizquel, shortstop, and all those double play turns that I watched growing up. I can always go back and watch, and it's pretty fun to watch.
What sport would you coach, or what would you be doing if you weren't coaching?
If I weren't coaching, wow, I don't know. That's a good question. I may not have an answer for that. I'd be doing something baseball related for sure. You're doing lessons, or I don't know. That's a good.
Do you think there's an avenue for some of these guys to maybe, you know, as a teachable moment to go through some of those highlight reels, YouTube type stuff? I know you talked about visualization. I used to do that a lot when I played, and you know, I've talked about it a couple of times. My biggest jump from being, you know, probably a below average high school kid to an all-state kind of kid was, you know, a lot of T work and then visualization. But, you know, having the access to like YouTube type stuff, you know, I used to all the time watch. I mean, that's what we did. We watched highlight reels. You try to mimic your swing after, you know, Griffey and stuff like that. I think, you know, these guys right now, I think that'd be a great idea for some of them to do is go through and watch, even for a, you know, middle infielder, watch footwork and how they're turning a double play, things like that.
Absolutely. There's a lot of ways to do different things. It's not going to hurt to just watch some film and watch highlight reels, like you said, try to mimic someone's swing, or maybe something you can pick up from somebody else, and then just practice it. You just try it. You got to be open-minded about things, and sometimes, hey, if you think you know it all, then that's when you stop learning. So I agree with you. Some of those YouTube or highlight reels from somebody, it can really help you. Maybe it doesn't help you, but it may help me or somebody else.
Yeah, I remember you doing that. For you used to do those fake swings and try and figure out, you know, we were trying to guess who you were trying to mimic. It'd usually be our players on our team, but, you know, it was something like that would be pretty fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I was been pretty good at mimicking someone's swing or batting stances, and it's something I still do. I can do some guys that are pretty funny to look at, but I'm not gonna do it right now.
No, that was always some good times. What would the biggest difference between the JUCO and NAI player? Let's just ask that, I guess.
Okay. I mean, these two levels are very different in the fact that I don't know. The NAI players are really good players too. JUCO level, I think there's a lot of talented guys that had potential or ability to go Division I out of high school. They just picked to go JUCO to maybe when we're out of high school, they weren't quite at that major Division I player that they wanted to be, or even a Division I and lower Division I level. But they go to a junior college because they could play for 2 years and then develop into a Division I player. Or if you were a mid-major Division I player, you can develop into a big-time D1 player. But that's what we did at Wabash Valley. We developed guys. It's a lot of development, a lot of mind development, everything, not just baseball. We talk life, and then we mold guys into baseball players, overall baseball players, not just hitters or pitchers.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know for me at that JC, I played at Parkland, so at that JC level, for me, I think the majority of it was just the physical side of it. Is as a 5'8", 5'9" guy, I think it paid off to really have that time at the JC level to build physically to be able to compete with guys that are at that even D2, D3, Division I level. And I think a lot of guys go there. I know a lot of our pitchers that we had at Parkland. I mean, they all went on to play Division II, Division I baseball. It was, they needed that extra year, maybe 2 years to develop, whether it was a third pitch or work on a change up, things like that. But that I know first year was just the size of guys changed so quick from when we got there as incoming freshmen to when these guys were going into their sophomore year. It's just, I mean, we had guys that put on 30 pounds of muscle. It was
Yeah,
impressive.
just to work on their body. Sometimes they have the ability and the talent to play, but their body's not ready. And then I don't care who you are. If you go to the University of Miami, because it's University of Miami and you don't play, you're not going to be happy. So it's the same development you can do there. You can do it at junior college. Just work on your body, get your minds right, and develop. You got to develop. It's nowhere in the world that you can just sit on the bench and get better. There's no way. So there's no restrictions at a junior college level. There's no hours you have to just practice a week, but you can just work a lot more with a lot less actually. So pretty unique situation at a junior college level. I love, and I will always be a JUCO guy because I played in the I, coached in the I, coached to the JUCO, and I love that grind, if you would call it like that. But you have to wear so many hats, and you gotta work in the field, you gotta mow the grass, you gotta you know do a shot clock, work on the shot clock, work referee basketball during the winter, things like that to do whatever you need to do to make it happen and make it live.
What about some of the tech pieces, Free? There's been a lot of talk about that. Obviously, baseball has been changing. What is the tech side of things, at least at your level right now, compared to when you were at Wabash?
Yeah. While I was at Wabash, we didn't have a lot of technology then, but they do now. And at our level, at the Baltimore Orioles, we do have a lot. We have the Rapsodo units, pitching and hitting. We have the K-vest, which is just a vest you wear to touch up your kinematic sequence with your swing. A lot of stuff like that me personally have been learning a lot. Not really familiar with it coming in, but I've grown so much in it and I've learned so much. And those things right there is so useful for our player development and just our players in general.
Yeah, there's been a lot of tech pieces that's came out. Blast Motion's been a big one. Diamond
Yep.
Kinetics, bat sensors. Those are all very big with bat path and whatnot. What would you say that's one thing that if you were to tell a young hitter to kind of work on just at home to kind of better himself, would it be bat path? Would it be or one thing to kind of think about to help him with his growth?
Yeah, it depends on your body. If you're a kid that is just not quite strong enough yet, you continue to work on getting stronger. Because if you can't move the bat, then you never you'll be as efficient as you can or as strong as you can, hit the ball as hard as you can. But if you're not strong enough, then probably work on your body, continue to get stronger. Once you do that, direction. I mean, direction is a huge part of hitting. You gotta have direction to hit. Back path, like you said, those two things are probably at the top of the list when you talk about hitting.
Awesome.
Christian, I know before we let you go, I wanted to see if you'd give us a rundown of maybe your favorite baseball experience growing up, whether it was at the high school level or college level, or maybe even in pro ball now.
Oh wow. Um, Let's see here. You can make me think here. Probably
Something that you're going to tell your kids down the line, this is something I did, whether 3 home runs in a game or, something like that. It's somebody you have met.
well, probably when I was still in my high school days, I had a 2 home run game, one right-handed, one left-handed. I thought that was pretty cool. I was a switch hitter. I hit my first at bat, hit a home run from the right side. And then later in the game, I hit home runs on the left side. So I thought it was pretty cool to hit a home run from each side of the plate.
Did you guys win the game?
We won the game, yeah.
My biggest highlight like that was in high school. I hit 3 home runs in a game and we still lost.
Really? Wow.
Hit 3 home runs off the same pitcher and we still lost.
Yeah. So, yeah, things like that, I wasn't a home run hitter at all, but having a game with 2 home runs and let alone one from each side of the plate, I thought it was pretty cool.
What about from the coaching side once you entered that phase?
Once I entered that phase, I think going to Grand Junction, Colorado for the JUCO World Series, that's a second to none experience. We ended up finishing 3rd in country that year, but that's an experience that I'll never forget. It's pretty amazing. 12,000 people in the stands watching JUCO baseball is pretty unique.
Are you able to still stay connected with a lot of your teammates from those teams and a lot of those players?
Yeah, absolutely. I always stay in touch with those guys. Either hear text here and there, a call here and there. I always stay in touch with Coach Martimon, Coach Fournier at Wabash Valley. We always stay in touch. We always have good communications, and that's why I think we continue to learn, especially with those head coaches that have been doing it for a while.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming on. Thanks for letting us steal part of your day from you. And, hopefully we're back to playing baseball here pretty soon and we'll be able to get these guys going.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. Like you said, hopefully get on the baseball field soon and all this will be in the past and we'll be happy again.
All right. Appreciate you.
You have a good one.